5 haunted hotels where the dead still check in. Throughout the world, certain hotels have gained reputations that extend far beyond their amenities, service, or location. These establishments have become focal points for supernatural encounters, unexplained phenomena, and experiences that challenge our understanding of the boundary between life and death. Unlike private homes or abandoned buildings, haunted hotels present a unique psychological environment where temporary residents encounter the accumulated spiritual energy of countless previous guests. What makes hotel hauntings particularly compelling is their public nature. These aren't family ghost stories passed down through generations, but encounters experienced by strangers with no emotional investment in the location's history. Business travelers, tourists, and hospitality workers from around the world report remarkably similar supernatural experiences in these establishments, suggesting either collective delusion or genuine supernatural phenomena that transcend individual psychology and cultural conditioning. If you really like our channel, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more daily horror stories. Thanks. Number 1. The Stanley Hotel, Colorado, Room 217's Infinite Echo. Perched in the Colorado Rockies overlooking Estes Park, the Stanley Hotel has welcomed guests since 1909. But it was Stephen King's stay in room 217 that transformed this elegant resort into one of America's most famous supernatural destinations. King's experience inspired The Shining, but the hotel's reputation for paranormal activity predates the novelist's stay by decades, with staff and guests reporting encounters that suggest the building itself may be a repository for human consciousness that refuses to fade. The supernatural activity appears concentrated in room 217, where guests report consistent phenomena. Invisible hands tucking them into bed, children playing in empty corridors, piano music from the locked ballroom, and a woman in Victorian dress who seems perpetually preparing the room for guests who never arrive. This woman, identified as Mrs. Elizabeth Wilson, the hotel's former housekeeper, appears to maintain her professional duties decades after death. What distinguishes the Stanley's hauntings is the interactive nature of encounters. The entities seem aware of guests' presence and respond to questions and conversation. The children's voices present a mystery, as historical records indicate the Stanley rarely accommodated families during its early decades. Yet sounds of children playing persist as one of the most commonly reported experiences. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a psychologist who studied the Stanley phenomenon, spent 6 months interviewing guests and staff. Her research revealed a disturbing pattern. Individuals experiencing supernatural activity often develop temporal displacement syndrome, a condition where they begin experiencing memories and emotions belonging to people who lived decades ago. The hotel seems to function as a psychic amplifier, Dr. Mitchell explains. Guests find themselves accessing memories that aren't their own, experiencing emotions connected to events they never witnessed. It's as if the building stores human consciousness that occasionally downloads into receptive minds. The most documented case involves Jennifer Walsh, a marketing executive who stayed in room 217 during a 2019 conference. Walsh woke with detailed memories of working as a housekeeper in the 1920s, including specific knowledge about room layouts changed during renovations and names of staff from the hotel's early years. These memories persisted for months, with Walsh feeling she was sharing consciousness with Elizabeth Wilson. Medical examination revealed no mental illness, but Walsh reported difficulty distinguishing her own memories from those of her supernatural host. Other guests developed emotional attachments to people and places from historical periods they'd never experienced, their personal identity blurring with deceased hotel staff and visitors. Dr. Mitchell's research suggests the Stanley represents a new category of haunted location, one where supernatural activity involves temporary merger of living and deceased consciousness rather than simple ghostly appearances. We're dealing with actual psychological contact between the living and dead, creating shared consciousness experiences that challenge our understanding of individual identity. The most disturbing aspect isn't the presence of ghosts, but the suggestion that consciousness itself may be far more permeable than we realize. If staying in a haunted hotel can result in permanent access to someone else's memories and emotions, then the boundary between individual identity and collective human experience may be an illusion that certain environments can temporarily dissolve. The Stanley forces us to confront the possibility that our sense of personal consciousness is not as private or secure as we assume, and that some locations serve as intersections where the memories and experiences of the living and dead become indistinguishably merged. Number 2. Château Frontenac, Quebec, the phantom guest who never left. Rising above old Quebec's cobblestone streets like a medieval fortress, the Château Frontenac has hosted royalty and celebrities since 1893. This iconic hotel's supernatural reputation centers around the gentleman, a well-dressed man who appears to be a permanent guest despite having no reservation, no check-in record, and no apparent need for earthly amenities. The gentleman was first documented in 1928, when staff reported encounters with a polite, distinguished man in formal evening wear, appearing during late hours. Unlike typical ghost sightings, the gentleman interacted normally with staff and guests, engaging in conversation about current events and displaying perfect knowledge of hotel etiquette. What made these encounters unusual was their consistency. The gentleman appeared regularly for decades, seemingly aging at normal rate despite having no corporeal existence. Hotel staff watched his appearance change gradually, hair graying, posture stooping, formal wear evolving with fashion trends while maintaining elegant anachronism. The mystery deepened when management investigated the gentleman's identity. Despite numerous witnesses confirming his presence and detailed conversations, no documentation existed. Security cameras showed staff and guests apparently conversing with empty air, responding to unheard commentary from an invisible companion. Marie-Claire Dubois, concierge for 37 years, documented interactions in a private journal discovered after retirement. The gentleman would approach regularly with polite inquiries about attractions and services, always displaying impeccable manners and genuine appreciation. "He was the most courteous guest we ever served," Dubois wrote. "Never demanding, always grateful, possessed of old-world charm. Even knowing he was a spirit, I looked forward to his visits. He brought grace and dignity that reminded us of true hospitality's importance." Dr. Philippe Rousseau from Université Laval studied the gentleman phenomenon, interviewing dozens of witnesses and analyzing psychological profiles of those who reported encounters. The gentleman exists in partial reality, visible and interactive to some, while remaining undetectable to others in the same space. This suggests either sophisticated mass hallucination or a supernatural entity operating by unknown rules. Investigation revealed the gentleman's appearances coincided with specific atmospheric and electromagnetic conditions. Advanced monitoring detected unusual energy fluctuations during documented encounters, while individuals who could see him shared certain neurological characteristics, unusual brain activity in regions associated with temporal perception and social recognition. The breakthrough came when basement renovation uncovered a hidden room containing belongings and documents from the hotel's construction period. Among these was a staff uniform and badge belonging to Henri Beaumont, a night manager who worked from 1893 until his mysterious disappearance in 1928, when staff first reported the gentleman. Hotel records revealed Beaumont had been exceptionally dedicated, literally living at the hotel with no outside residence, dedicating his entire life to guest satisfaction. His diary, found in the hidden room, revealed growing obsession with achieving perfect hospitality and experiments with temporal displacement techniques for more effective service. Beaumont's final entry, dated the day before his disappearance, read, "I have found the way to serve forever. Time and death are obstacles to perfect hospitality. Tonight I transcend these limitations and become the ideal employee. Always present, never aging, eternally dedicated to guest satisfaction." The revelation that the gentleman was Henri Beaumont, an employee who had achieved eternal service through unknown means, transformed the mystery into something more disturbing. If Beaumont discovered a way to continue working after death, then the gentleman represents not a ghost, but human consciousness that chose eternal servitude over natural death. The implications raise questions about dedication, perfection's price, and whether extreme commitment can transcend human limitations in ways that blur the line between achievement and horror, reminding us that our deepest values may survive death, but perhaps not as we expect. Number 3. The Langham Hotel, London. Room 333's temporal fractures. In London's West End, the Langham Hotel has stood as Victorian elegance since 1865, hosting literary giants like Oscar Wilde and Mark Twain. However, Room 333 has gained reputation among paranormal investigators as a location where time itself seems unstable, allowing glimpses into multiple historical periods that overlap in ways challenging our understanding of linear reality. The supernatural activity differs from traditional ghost sightings as guests report temporal bleeding, sudden environmental shifts suggesting the room exists simultaneously in multiple time periods. Visitors describe waking to find their modern room transformed into Victorian accommodations, complete with period furniture, gas lighting, and wallpaper matching historical photographs. These episodes are not hallucinations, as multiple guests report identical changes, and physical evidence often remains after supernatural episodes conclude. Hotel staff discover Victorian-era coins, clothing, and documents following guest reports of temporal displacement, suggesting actual interaction with past events rather than psychological suggestion. Dr. Rebecca Hayes, a Cambridge theoretical physicist, investigated after her own 2018 experience. Initially skeptical, she brought electromagnetic monitoring equipment to debunk temporal displacement claims. What I experienced over 3 nights challenged every assumption about time's nature and historical events' stability. During her first night, Hayes was awakened by sobbing in the bathroom. Investigating, she found the modern bathroom replaced by a Victorian washroom, where a period-dressed woman wept over a Crimean War death telegram. The encounter lasted 20 minutes, during which Hayes touched Victorian objects, read the telegram, and examined 1855 newspapers. Physical evidence remained: ink stains from Victorian newspapers and coal fireplace ash. Hayes's instruments recorded unusual electromagnetic fluctuations during temporal episodes, suggesting actual physical transportation rather than hallucination. The data matched theoretical models for localized temporal distortion. Collaborating with hotel historian James Morrison, Hayes documented that temporal episodes correspond to traumatic events in the room's history: deaths, tragedies, and intense emotional distress, creating permanent temporal impressions. Room 333 functions as a temporal archive, Morrison explains. Guests witness crisis moments that occurred in that exact location, as if the room recorded emotionally charged events and occasionally replays them. The most documented episode involved businessman David Chen, who repeatedly witnessed a German nobleman's World War I suicide attempt. Chen developed a relationship with the historical figure over several temporal episodes, eventually preventing the suicide by providing emotional support. When Chen returned to normal time, historical records had changed, the nobleman now documented as surviving the war. Hayes' analysis revealed that Room 333's displacement episodes allow contemporary visitors to alter historical events. Changes to past occurrences created new temporal fractures throughout the hotel, with guests in other rooms reporting anachronistic objects and historical figures in modern contexts. The investigation climaxed when Hayes discovered her scientific study had been documented in 1923 hotel records, nearly a century before her visit. Archives contained detailed descriptions of her experiments and equipment, suggesting her investigation existed simultaneously in multiple time periods. The final revelation was that the Langham Hotel itself might be an elaborate temporal construction, a building existing partially outside normal time, allowing historical periods to overlap. Architectural plans showed rooms and corridors that don't exist in physical space, suggesting the building's supernatural reputation results from its unique position at multiple timeline intersections. Room 333 forces us to confront the possibility that time may be far less stable than assumed, and certain locations exist at intersections where past, present, and future become indistinguishably merged. If temporal displacement events allow contemporary visitors to witness and alter historical traumas, then supernatural encounter consequences extend beyond individual experience to encompass reality's fundamental structure, raising questions about whether our understanding of history, causation, and temporal relationships reflects true temporal nature or merely our limited perception of a far more complex and mutable universe. Number 4. The Ancient Ram Inn, England, where darkness feeds. In Gloucestershire's village of Watton-under-Edge, the ancient Ram Inn claims to be England's most haunted house. Built in 1145 as a priest's residence, the building has served various functions, but its transformation into an inn brought worldwide attention due to encounters so violent that most guests flee before completing a single night. Owner John Humphreys purchased the property in 1968 and has documented thousands of supernatural encounters, ranging from traditional sightings to physical attacks leaving scars and injuries requiring medical treatment. Unlike other haunted hotels with atmospheric activity, the ancient Ram Inn's entities appear actively hostile, engaging in direct physical confrontation with anyone attempting extended stays. Humphrey's documentation includes photographs of supernatural entities, unexplained sound recordings, and physical evidence including furniture movement and structural damage occurring without cause. His most disturbing discoveries involve skeletal remains throughout the property, children's skulls and staircases, adult bones beneath rooms, and ritual sacrifice evidence suggesting the building was constructed on a site used for occult practices before Christian settlement. The supernatural entities demonstrate intelligence, coordination, and genuine malevolence toward humans. Guests report being physically grabbed, pushed downstairs, and attacked by invisible forces, leaving visible injuries. These encounters seem designed to systematically drive humans away through intimidation and violence. Dr. Michael Persinger, a neuropsychologist studying electromagnetic fields and paranormal experiences, conducted extensive research using sophisticated monitoring equipment. His findings revealed electromagnetic anomalies exceeding naturally occurring phenomena, suggesting the building exists in constant electromagnetic disturbance that could influence human consciousness. The ancient Ram Inn presents electromagnetic readings literally off our scales, Dr. Persinger explains. The building appears in constant electromagnetic flux, creating conditions unlike anything documented elsewhere. These fluctuations occur in patterns suggesting intelligent direction rather than random natural phenomena. The investigation revealed that electromagnetic disturbances appear to feed on human bioelectric energy. Guests show measurable decreases in personal electromagnetic fields, suggesting supernatural entities drain energy directly from living humans to maintain manifestations and power physical interactions. This energy vampirism causes profound exhaustion, illness, and psychological disturbance. Medical examination reveals symptoms consistent with severe energy depletion, fatigue, immune depression, and cognitive impairment persisting weeks after supernatural encounters. Paranormal investigator Sarah Thompson attempted spending a full week documenting activity. Her experience escalated from typical phenomena to direct physical confrontation, leaving her hospitalized with unexplainable injuries. The entities aren't ghosts or residual spirits, Thompson explains. They're conscious, malevolent beings viewing human presence as both threat and resource, demonstrating tactical intelligence and coordinated attacks. Investigation into the building's history revealed construction on a site with documented occult practices dating to pre-Christian Celtic rituals. Archaeological evidence suggests thousands of years of human sacrifice, ritual burial, and ceremonies designed to contact supernatural entities before current building construction. Historical records reference the site as a thin place, where physical and supernatural realm boundaries were permeable. Documents describe rituals performed to anchor supernatural entities in the physical world, creating permanent gateways for otherworldly being manifestation and human reality interaction. The most chilling discovery was ritual artifacts in the foundation, objects designed to bind supernatural entities to the location while providing human energy access. These included carved stones with unknown symbols, metal objects containing multi-species biological material, and crystalline formations exhibiting electromagnetic properties, matching the building's anomalous readings. Analysis revealed these weren't ceremonial objects, but functional devices designed to harvest and store human bioelectric energy for supernatural entities. The artifacts showed recent use evidence, suggesting current supernatural activity continues ancient practices established when the site was first consecrated to otherworldly beings. The final revelation was that the ancient Ram Inn represents not a haunted building, but an active supernatural research facility where non-human entities conduct experiments on human consciousness, emotion, and bioelectric energy. The building's long history of violence, fear, and supernatural encounters appears to result from systematic study by beings whose understanding of human nature far exceeds our comprehension of their existence. The ancient Ram Inn forces us to confront the possibility that some supernatural encounters are not random ghostly manifestations, but deliberate contact with non-human intelligences, viewing humans as experimental subjects rather than spiritual equals. If the building serves as a laboratory where supernatural entities study human fear, pain, and energy patterns, then every guest becomes an unwilling participant in research conducted by beings whose agenda and goals remain completely unknown, reminding us that our assumptions about supernatural encounters may be dangerously naive. Number 5. Hotel del Coronado, California, the Lady in White's Infinite Performance. Standing on Coronado Beach shores since 1888, the Hotel del Coronado has hosted presidents and Hollywood stars. However, the hotel's most permanent resident appears to be Kate Morgan, who died under mysterious circumstances in 1892, and whose spirit has reportedly been performing the same tragic drama for over 130 years, creating a supernatural time loop, trapping both deceased and living in endless cycles of investigation and repetition. Kate Morgan checked in on November 24, 1892, using the name Lottie A. Bernard, claiming to await her husband. 5 days later, she was found dead on the beach, apparently from self-inflicted gunshot, though circumstances raised questions investigators never definitively answered. Official verdict was suicide, but evidence inconsistencies created a mystery persisting over a century. Supernatural activity attributed to Kate follows a distinct pattern, suggesting her spirit repeatedly reenacts events leading to death, attempting to communicate information about what actually happened. Guests and staff encounter a distressed woman in period dress, asking for help finding her husband or expressing concern about missed appointments. These encounters are cyclical. Kate's spirit resets her supernatural performance every few weeks, beginning with hotel arrival and progressing through the same sequence culminating in death. She seems unaware of previous interactions, treating each encounter as first time despite repeating identical conversations and actions for over a century. Dr. Rachel Stevens, a forensic psychologist specializing in cold cases, became interested after her own 2020 supernatural encounter. Stevens approached the haunting as an unsolved case rather than paranormal phenomenon, analyzing Kate's supernatural behavior for death clues. Kate's ghostly behavior follows severe psychological trauma patterns, Dr. Stevens explains. She displays dissociative amnesia symptoms, repeatedly asking same questions, expressing same concerns, showing no memory of previous interactions. Her supernatural state appears to manifest psychological wounds never healed. Stevens' investigation revealed Kate's death occurred during significant personal crisis. Historical records indicate she'd recently discovered her husband's fraudulent business involvement and received threatening letters from unknown sources. Her hotel trip was apparently an escape attempt, but threats had followed her to California. Forensic analysis of Kate's supernatural behavior patterns revealed inconsistencies with official suicide verdict. Her spirit consistently expresses concern about meeting someone, displays behavior suggesting she expected to leave rather than die, and shows no suicidal ideation signs. Instead, actions suggest someone afraid for safety and seeking protection. Stevens uncovered overlooked evidence: suspicious individuals near the hotel during Kate's stay, unexplained financial transactions, and staff testimony describing Kate as fearful rather than despondent. Evidence suggested murder rather than suicide, with scenes staged to conceal actual crime. The breakthrough came when Stevens realized ghostly reenactments were systematic attempts to communicate specific death information. Each supernatural cycle emphasized different details that, analyzed collectively, painted a picture of actual murder events. Through careful documentation across multiple cycles, Stevens reconstructed likely events leading to Kate's death. Evidence suggested murder by individuals connected to her husband's fraudulent activities, who followed her to California to prevent crime exposure to authorities. Most remarkably, Kate's spirit seemed to respond to Stevens' investigation, becoming more communicative and providing increasingly specific information as forensic analysis progressed. Following Kate's supernatural guidance, Stevens and hotel staff discovered hidden documents in Kate's original room, letters, financial records, and personal items concealed during original investigation. The documents revealed Kate had planned to testify against her husband and associates in federal fraud investigation, making her a liability requiring elimination. Her hotel trip was actually an attempt to meet federal investigators where she believed she'd be safe from retaliation. Armed with new evidence, Stevens presented compelling murder case evidence, with forensic evidence supporting the theory and supernatural communications providing key information to solve the 130-year-old murder. After Stevens published findings and formally presented murder evidence, supernatural activity at Hotel del Coronado changed dramatically. Kate's spirit stopped repeating endless death reenactment cycles and began appearing peacefully, expressing gratitude rather than distress. Guests now report encountering Kate as a benevolent presence, while hotel staff notes supernatural activity continues, but has transformed from disturbing repetitive trauma into peaceful manifestations, enhancing rather than disturbing guest experience. The Kate Morgan case demonstrates that some supernatural phenomena may represent genuine attempts by deceased individuals to communicate information about unresolved injustices, using ghostly presence to guide living investigators toward evidence, providing closure for both dead and living. Kate's successful collaboration between living and dead to solve crime and achieve justice across life and death boundaries proves that some hauntings represent not paranormal curiosities, but meaningful communication requiring proper skills and knowledge to understand and act upon. Thank you for listening. If you really like our channel, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more daily horror stories. Thanks!